Welcome back to Play Action Fantasy Football. This is Week 9 start sit. We got tight ends we're looking at today, and I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Why don't you guys go like and subscribe real quick, and we're going to get started. Thursday night, we got the Titans at the Steelers. I'm going to have to sit all of them. We got Okonkwo, Connor Haywood, and Darnell Washington. Okonkwo, he hasn't scored over 10 points for the Titans yet, so it's hard to really put him up there. I think he's going to have to be a sit this week. And Connor Haywood and Darnell Washington. Hayward definitely got more targets last week than Washington, but Washington, he's really not going to be a factor. He's a sit. And with Kenny Pickett's injury, I don't see Connor Hayward really stepping up, getting much points, so he's definitely a sit for me as well. Next up, we got Sunday at 9:30 a.m. in Germany, Dolphins at the Chiefs. Chiefs are technically home. We're going to be looking at Smythe and Kelsey. This is another easy one, honestly. Smythe, we're going to have to sit him. Kelsey start. Kelsey's a no question. You guys already know what that is. Smythe, on the other hand, he hasn't produced much at all for the Dolphins, and the Dolphins use everybody else but him, so he's definitely a sit. As far as the 1 o'clock games go, we got the Vikings at the Falcons. Looking at Hawkinson for the Vikings, they don't have Kirk Cousins anymore. He's going to be on IR. Hawkinson's still going to be a top producer tight end. And against the Falcons, who do have a good defense, I still think that Hawkinson pulls it out and definitely is a good starter for you guys. And as far as the Falcons go, we got Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith. Kyle Pitts is going to be a cautionary start for me this week. I don't know exactly how I want to place him. I think he can have a good week, but he does split a lot of receptions with Jonnu Smith. But at the end of the day, Kyle Pitts is a better receiver, and he definitely can get the ball in the red zone in certain areas and certainly get more catches. So I'm going to have to put Pitts as a cautionary start maybe. Maybe they're in your tight end spot, maybe not. But Jonnu Smith, you definitely don't want playing at your tight end spot. Now the next game we're going to be looking at is the Bears at the Saints. And we're looking at Cole Kmet and Taysom Hill. This is going to be a good matchup. The Cole Kmet, he's been putting up numbers. I think he's a good cautionary start this week. I wouldn't put too much faith in him just because the Saints have a very good defense. However, Taysom Hill, he's shown what he could do last week. He's shown multiple times his dual threat. He can run the ball, he could catch the ball, and obviously throw the ball as well. But he's going to have to be a start for me against the Bears. Struggling defense, struggling team this year. Taysom Hill, he definitely knows how to get the ball, and the Saints are using him correctly, and that's the most important part. So Taysom Hill, definitely a start. Cole Kmet, a good cautionary start. As far as the Rams and Packers go, we're looking at Tyler Higbee and Luke Musgrave. Tyler Higbee is going to be a cautionary start, leaning on sit, because at the end of the day, the Rams use a lot of Cooper Kupp and Nakua. Higbee had a good week last week, but I don't think that's going to continue. He can only... the Packers don't have the best defense either, so that's why Higbee's a decent cautionary start, but I wouldn't expect too much from him just because there's a lot going on in that offense. And the Packers, Luke Musgrave, he's a cautionary start this week as well, just because I need him to prove it to me. I think he could definitely put up points, but it's not guaranteed. Like I said, the Rams have a good defense, but they do allow a lot of points to tight ends. So I do think this week is a good week for Musgrave, so I wouldn't be too scared to start him there in your lineup. Commanders and Patriots up next, Logan Thomas, Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki. Logan Thomas is going to be a start for me this week. The Patriots have been showing that they can compete. However, with Logan Thomas, he had a good week last week. He's been a little bit inconsistent this year, but I think this is the week where he comes back, scores a lot of points, and gets a lot for you guys. So I would definitely start Logan Thomas this week. As far as the Patriots go, I'm going to sit Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. Gesicki hasn't been involved too much. Hunter Henry started off hot, but I don't see them targeting him too much, so he's going to be a sit this week against a good Commanders defense. Next up, we're looking at the Seahawks at the Ravens. Noah Fant, Mark Andrews. This is an easy one. We're sitting Noah Fant, starting Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is an easy start. Lamar Jackson has been finding him, and he's a very consistent guy. But on the other hand, Noah Fant, I don't think he's very consistent. Not against the Ravens this week and in Baltimore. It's not going to happen for Noah Fant. He's definitely going to be a sit for me this week, and I'll leave that at that. Next up, we got the Buccaneers at the Texans. Cade Otton, Dalton Schultz, two very good tight ends. Cade Otton, he's gonna be a start for me this week. I haven't said that much this year, but against the Texans, I see it happening. I see Baker Mayfield finding Otton a little bit more, just with how the Buccaneers offense is running now. So the Texans, Dalton Schultz, he's gonna have to be a start as well. Against the Buccaneers, they have a good defense. They definitely do. However, Dalton Schultz has a lot of upside against this Buccaneers D. The next game we're looking at is the Cardinals at the Browns. Trey McBride, David Njoku. I'm going to have to sit Trey McBride this week. I know he had a great week last week. He actually had a career game last week with Zach Ertz out. But I'm going to have to sit him. I don't think against one of the best, against tight ends, running backs, anything you want to call it. The Browns have one of the best defenses in the league. So Trey McBride is going to have to be a sit for me this week. On the other hand, David Njoku is going to be a cautionary start because the Cardinals have a good defense. We don't even know what's going on with the Browns' quarterback situation right now. Deshaun Watson doesn't look like he's playing. Probably going to sit him another week, and they're not happy with P.J. Walker. So David Njoku is a cautionary start. He definitely, no matter what quarterback is in there, he should get at least a few targets. But at the same time, it's hard to rely on that because we really don't know how this offense is going to work. So David Njoku is going to be a cautionary start this week. Moving on to the 4 o'clock games, we got the Colts at the Panthers. Kylan Granson, he's going to be questionable/doubtful for this upcoming game, so he's going to be a sit. And Drew Ogletree, Mo Alley Cox are subbing in for him, and Ogletree's covering a majority of the usage. So Ogletree is going to be a cautionary start for me this week. He showed what he could do last week. He had a few good catches. So I think this week against the Panthers is a good matchup for him, and they actually might look for him a little bit more there in Indianapolis. So Drew Ogletree is a good cautionary start. Mo Alley Cox, you want to sit. And as far as the Panthers go, I'm going to sit Hurst and Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble actually has been getting a little bit more receptions and a little bit more usage than Hurst in the past week or two. So I threw him on here. However, I do think both of them are a sit, and you don't want to start either of them in your lineup. Next 4 o'clock game is the Giants at the Raiders. Darren Waller, he's questionable. We don't know what he's going to be doing again. This is Monday that we record, so we'll see exactly how it progresses and what his injury status is. But he's questionable. If he is playing, I'm going to be cautious with him. He's definitely a good start, but don't expect too much from him. And Daniel Bellinger is going to be his backup, so he'll be playing if Waller doesn't. And I'm going to sit him either way. He doesn't have the potential nearly that Waller does, and Waller hasn't put up crazy numbers, so there's no reason to expect Bellinger to put up good numbers. And as far as the Raiders go, Austin Hooper, Michael Mayer, both good tight ends. I'm going to sit them both this week. I feel like the Raiders are really relying on Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. They've barely been throwing the ball to their tight ends, Hooper and Mayer, just like 2 or 3, 4 or 5 passes a week, so it's not very, very much. So I got to sit them both in this game. Next up, final 4 o'clock game, we got the Cowboys at the Eagles. Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert. I'm going to start them both. Cowboys-Eagles, NFC East rivalry. It's going to be a good game. I think it could be a high-scoring game for sure. Even though they both have very good defenses, they both have good offenses, and the NFC East likes to score. So Ferguson is going to be a start. He's been putting up numbers. Him and Dak Prescott, they definitely got a good bond going. So I got to start Ferguson against the Eagles, who, the Eagles score a lot. They give up a lot of points as well, so Ferguson's going to be a part of that. And Dallas Goedert, Cowboys have a very good defense, so they could shut Goddard down, but I don't see it happening. The Eagles like to score a lot, and I think Goddard's going to be a part of that. So look for Goddard and Ferguson both to be a start this week. Our 8 o'clock Sunday night game, we got the Bills at the Bengals, Dalton Kincaid and Irv Smith Jr. I'm not going to talk too much about Irv Smith Jr. Bengals have a lot of other weapons. They don't use Irv Smith Jr. He's a sit. And Dalton Kincaid is a start for sure against the Bengals. Kincaid, he's shown what he can do, especially without Knox there. Josh Allen, great quarterback, going to find Kincaid plenty of times. So he's definitely a very good start this week. And lastly, we got our Monday night game, Chargers at the Jets. Gerald Everett, Donald Parham, and Tyler Conklin. Everett's questionable, but he's looking like he's definitely going to be playing. He was out last week with a hip injury, but he did practice a little bit, decided he couldn't go on Sunday, so it's looking good for him next week going into Monday night's game. So I'm going to start Everett. He's going to be a good start against the Jets, especially even coming off the injury. I think he's going to be doing very well. And Parham, on the other hand, he's a cautionary start because just for any reason that Everett doesn't play, he's definitely not a bad start. He's still going to put up points. But if Everett is playing, then I would not rely on Parham for much points at all. So you definitely want to keep an eye out for that and don't just throw Parham in there just to throw him in there. And then the Jets, Tyler Conklin, he's definitely going to be a sit for me. I mean, we see what the Jets offense are doing. They're leaning on Breece Hall, throwing to other receivers. They have Zach Wilson in there. Conklin's not getting much points at all, so easy sit there. But that will wrap it up for our Week 9 start sits for tight ends. This is Jonathan again. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go comment, let us know what you think about my picks, and have a great fantasy week.